What happens when you take the midsole from the famed Adios Pro 3 and put a lifestyle upper on it? Well, you get the Adios Pro equipment. This is an obscure shoe. It's also incredible. And it has the potential to be the most under the radar best shoe of 2025.
Ooh, look at that. It's his equipment. Ooh, it's so. Thick. He must be a pro.
Morning, everybody. This is an exciting one. I am here with the Adidas Adios Pro 3 Equipment Edition in a gaudy, vibrant duct tape colorway. And the point of the shoe is that it is a Adios Pro 3 with a different upper. And from first step in and all of the feels that I've gotten so far, it's a better upper. Now, it's a heavier shoe, so obviously that'll come with trade-offs, and it's definitely bulky feeling on foot, so we're going to see how it does today. And it's cold, again, because it's fall in Rochester, New York. So let's go!
Ooh, look at that!
It's his equipment.
I am pleased to report that my very high expectations of this shoe are already being met. There is a unique quality to the Adios Pro 3 midsole in terms of fun and directional stability and robotic propulsiveness that as of yet in any shoe has been unmatched. This is for sure my first true love in running shoes, the Adios Pro 3, and this is reminding me exactly why, and there's not much more you could ask out of a shoe. Okay, some thoughts so far. The first one is that the upper is really stiff. I mean, this is not made for running, so you would expect a bit of a difference in the upper type, but it's definitely stiff. It's not wholly a bad thing, but the tongue is applying pressure on my right foot to the tendons where the foot becomes the ankle at the top of the foot. So where the L-shaped curve begins of the foot and ankle. I was actually able to rectify that. I'll show you real quick. So this is the normal tongue, and I folded this one in on itself, and that helped a lot. With that, I can still feel it, But I was feeling this yesterday, and the day before that. It's just that I had a bunch of sequential days where I was experiencing lace bite, and so the top of my feet are still tender. I mean, this is still a pretty rigid upper, but that's one of those things too that changes pretty quickly as the shoe breaks in, and I'm not concerned about it even in the slightest. It's not the Adios Pro 3 upper, it's way better. Even if it wasn't designed for running, it's a better upper than was on the Pro 3 for sure. I could already tell that this is warm and unventilated, which is what some of the Reddit commenters were worried about. This is where I saw the shoe was on Reddit. Thank you, Reddit, for bringing this to my attention. And yeah, it's warm in these, but it's about to be winter here. And I probably wouldn't have grabbed this if it weren't about to be winter. I have a distinct lack of bulkier shoes with nice padded uppers, so this will be a welcome addition to that category. Yeah, this midsole is like nothing else that's currently on the market. Such a direct bouncy ball bounce. So for these shoes, I went with not my usual size, which is 9.5. I went with a 10. The reason I did this is twofold. The first reason, and the main reason, is that with all of the issues I have on my right foot, and that one being the slightly larger foot, I wanted to see if a slightly larger shoe might accommodate those weird stability and like twisting issues. Now, I've tried this before and have been largely unsuccessful, but I figured I would try it again. I have a physical therapist appointment on Wednesday to see what the imbalance is, if it's structural, if it's like a weakness maybe in my hips. So, whatever it is, I'm just trying to diagnose why it feels different to land on my right foot than on my left foot. I've even had this in strides before, so I don't really think it's the shoes and sizing, especially since in a 9.5, my feet measure in at, on the left, a 9 exactly, or an 8.9, depending on how the machine measures it. And then on my right, it's a 9.1, and that's always been pretty reliable. So I think I just swallowed a bug. So I don't think it's sizing that's the issue. But the secondary reason I got these specifically in a 10 versus a 9.5 is that the Adios Pro 3 did this really weird thing to my extensor tendon that runs across the top of my big toe. It just created pain there. And I've had this with other Adidas shoes, no other brand. Oh, I guess the Hoka Cielo X1 did it originally, but then stopped doing it after some break-in. But the Adios Pro 3 never stopped doing that to me. It's such a flawed shoe. The Pro 3 is such a flawed shoe, but it makes it worth it for the midsole, or the midsole is what makes it worth it, which is why this is such an exciting shoe. Man, I am feeling really pleased with how this feels underfoot. This is gonna be for sure a staple in the long run rotation for the foreseeable future. Frankly, it's gonna be hard for me to reach for anything else. I hope I'm not cross-contaminating my view of this shoe with the fact that it's fall and everything feels good right now. Because everything feels good right now. I'm wearing gloves. That's crazy. 3 or 4 days ago, it was 90 degrees. For those new to my channel, welcome. You should note that I am not the biggest max cushion or full stack, overstacked running shoe fan. I like them. I think they have their place, but I often get along better with flatter, lower to the ground geometries and lower drop shoes. So it is with like the highest and utmost respect for a shoe such as this that I'll say such amazingly positive things, because it's not my predisposition. This is like truly like a nearly flawless shoe. The only thing that's bugging me right now is the rigid upper on my right foot specifically. This is the type of midsole that makes you wonder if we've really advanced technologically over the last 3 years. Which I know in my brain that we have, and that the foams have gotten lighter for a very similar or even better energy return amount. But the feel of this midsole, and this isn't even like optimum peak Adios Pro 3 midsole because it's not broken in yet, is a brand new Adios Pro 3 midsole, and it's just one of the best feelings that I felt in a long time for direct, immediate bounciness. Maybe it's the rods plus the foam, whatever it is, it's got to keep going. We can't leave the TPEs behind. The other thing I was going to say about the weight was it almost feels like this being heavier makes the weight of the midsole make more sense. On the Adios Pro 3, the racing shoe, the upper, as you can imagine, was lightweight. That created this bottom heavy sensation where you had like, I don't know, like a thinly strapped wet brick on the bottom of your foot, but not in like the foam didn't feel brickish, obviously. It's one of the best midsoles ever, but the upper was not harmonious with the midsole. It felt almost like a decoupled upper to midsole. Whereas this feels more of a unified singular shoe. It's not a perfect upper. It's starchy. It's not made for running at all. It's plasticky. It's like got overlays. They can make a different upper for the Adios Pro 3 again, and I would buy that again. But the weight being heavier all around makes the midsole and the whole package of the shoe come together really nicely. Now, a couple miles into the run, I could tell that it's a heavier shoe. I don't like a heavier shoe. I wish this was a lighter shoe. But for all of what it's offering, the weight is a secondary factor to me. If only the opportunity to run down memory lane in an Adios Pro 3 that doesn't slice the top of my foot mercilessly that alone has made this shoe worth it. Maybe that's actually Adidas's deal with the devil that they made. So the running joke in the running shoe community is that Asics has a deal with the devil. Oh, by the way, how cool is this tree? That Asics has a deal with the devil for their foams. That their Flight Foam Turbo Plus shouldn't be as light as it is. That their aliphatic TPU shouldn't be as bouncy and as light as it is. It makes no materials engineering sense. So they have a deal with the devil. For Asics, the trade-off is that they put this plastic toe cap right over the pinky toe of a ton of their shoes. It's in the Mega Blast. Fortunately, it hasn't affected me there, but I've heard people say that it has affected them there. And it's in all of the racing shoes. I haven't personally touched the Ray, but based on their upper constructions, I'm pretty confident that it would be in there because it's on both of the versions of Edge and Sky that I've been around for. So Adidas, their deal with the devil is also for foam. It's for Lightstrike Pro, and the trade-off is laces. They had to sign a contract with Piano Wire Incorporated. A couple of things I want to talk about in a quick recap here of the run. The first negative, and only negative, for this run, in the context window of this run, is that it bruised my top of foot tendon, where the tendon meets the ankle, like the L shape, the inside of the L shape between the top of my foot and the ankle. That is, I don't believe that this is anything to do with the shoe, and if it is something to do with the shoe, like, I don't think that's going to last forever for a couple of reasons. I think that the starchiness of the upper will sort of break in over time. Obviously, that's what shoes do. And I'm just in the condition right now where that's occurring to me no matter what shoe I'm wearing. Like, even yesterday in the Dynafish, that has never felt like that to me ever since owning that shoe. And yesterday, for whatever reason, I felt pressure and like pain in the exact same area on only that foot. So that's, I think, like an irrelevancy, but I do need to mention it. It's just my obligation to myself to be honest with you all and report what my experience is. The second thing is, this does feel like it needs some break in. The foam, right? It's Lightstrike Pro. It breaks in over time. It's towards the end of the run, it was feeling a little bit firm underfoot, but that's to be expected for Lightstrike Pro. But that's just such a small thing when compared to the fact that this midsole felt up there with all of the current, foams, all of the current. Oh, this cat's staring at me. Hold on. I don't know if you're going to be able to see him. He's far away. He's stalking me. I'm his prey. He's a shy cat. I don't know how to, integrate myself with him as a friend. He's shy. He won't let me pet him, but I've gotten pretty close before. We'll get there. We'll become friends. It's the Adios Pro 3 with a Tonka truck upper. That's basically what this shoe is. It's the ugliest shoe in the known universe. I mean, maybe it isn't though, some things are so ugly that they're pretty. It's like Ugly Betty or whatever that was. I don't know what the point of that show was. Probably you're beautiful on the inside. And that's the case with this shoe. It's beautiful on the inside. It's got the midsole from the Adios Pro 3. Maybe I'm in a cult. Maybe the Pro 3 is just a cult classic shoe that worked for a handful of people, or millions of people realistically, but it's that good. I mean, it's just that good. It's a better upper than the Pro 3 overall. I didn't have any lace bite other than that one specific tendon area, and I hesitate to even call that lace bite because it's a very, non-traditional place for that pain to occur. Yeah, none of the lace bite from the Pro 3. I know people had like a knuckle issue on the Pro 3, the big toe knuckle or something. I never had that on the Pro 3, but I didn't have it on this either. So, I mean, there's going to be tons of comparisons and parallels to draw. I'm going to talk ad nauseum about this very shortly. So I'm going to go inside, and with that, back to the studio.
Welcome back, everybody. We are in the studio with the Adios Pro equipment, or Adios Pro 3 equipment. So I'm going to go over some details, the background on this shoe. I'm not really sure totally what the equipment series is. It seems like, according to Adidas's web copy, it's performance lifestyle 90s combination like thing where you would take a performance shoe and slap a premium material lifestyle upper on it. And for sure, this is a lifestyle upper. It's got these like rubbery eyelet goobers. They're like plasticky rubbery. It's got duct tape basically feeling upper with all these padded underlays and overlays. And it's got a more stiff padded tongue than the Pro 3. It's got, a padded heel, all sorts of really good stuff on the upper. And if you know anything about the Adios Pro 3, you would know that the upper was the number one most horrific component of that shoe, and it made a lot of people weep with sorrow because the midsole was so good, but the upper gave them so many issues. I myself had some of the issues that were present on the Adios Pro 3. I'm going to go through some of the details on this shoe, and then I'm going to break this down side by side to the Adios Pro 3 because I have my decrepit pair of those with me right now. First thing I want to go through is for sure the stats. The heel is 39 millimeters of Light Strike Pro. The forefoot is around 33. It might be 32 and a half if they did the half millimeter for this. But it's, for all intents and purposes, it's a 6 millimeter drop. The upper on this is just a wide range of materials, none of which I know anything about. But the point of this is to bring a whole bunch of materials from the lifestyle side and make it look like a 90s flashy whatever. I mean, it's flashy for sure. It's definitely not the most aesthetic shoe in my personal opinion, but maybe people like this. I don't really know. I'm out of touch. I'm 30. So the heel counter here is much more rigid than the Pro 3. It's not like hard. You could still bend it a little bit down here, but it's for sure more rigid. There's a lot more padding. This is pretty comfortable. I mean, I didn't have any issues around the collar. The tongue is stiff. This is the main thing I talked about on the run being the drawback to these so far that I experienced was I was getting right where my ankle meets my the top of my foot, so the L shape that the tongue digs into. I already had some irritated tendons there, so I don't think that it's like the fault of the shoe, but on my right foot specifically, that was causing me quite a lot of pain on the run. And the reason I don't think it was the shoe is this was happening to me yesterday in one of the most comfortable shoes that I own. So just bear in mind, though, it did happen. The tongue, though, I think that once it breaks in and becomes less starchy, it's much, much more padded than the Pro 3 and did not cause any lace bite otherwise for me. This eyelet chain, yeah, super weird, big, chonky boys made of rubbery plastic. And toe box is plenty wide. I did order these in a half size up from my normal sizing. I talked about this on the run in case you skipped to this portion of the review. The reason I did that was twofold. I personally have a lot of issues with the fit of shoes on my right foot, and I wanted to try to see if going up a half size would mitigate some of those weird like instability / sometimes there's a tension on the top of my big toe that is an issue in size 9.5 in some shoes. particularly, and this is the second reason I ordered this pair of shoes in a size 10, particularly in the Adios Pro 3 and in the Takumi Sen 10, the prior generation, I had really bad extensor tendon issues with those shoes specifically. Though it's happened in other shoes, those were the most prominent that it had occurred. So I went up a half size in this. I could have probably gone true to size. My foot is, my feet, right, are basically a size 9. My left foot is a size 8.9 or 9 on the dot, depending on what tool is measuring it. And my right foot is a size 9.1. So you would think a 9.5 would work for me. That's what I order all my shoes in. Broadly speaking, it does work, but I do have issues on my right foot a lot. And so that's part, I'm just doing trial and error here to be a better reviewer for you all. So yeah, these are a size 10, and they fit perfectly fine. I could have also probably fit into a size 9.5. Weight for these, they weighed in at 295 on, I can't remember if it was the right or the left, and then 289 on the other shoe. The way that I consider weight on this channel and for myself is that of the two shoes that I'm weighing, the right and the left, I just take the heavier weight, because if there's a QA difference, the heavier one is what I consider it to weigh. Okay, so that's the upper, that's the weight. We did the drop. The foam is Light Strike Pro, the Light Strike Pro from the Adios Pro 3, because the midsole is the Adios Pro 3 midsole, which if you are familiar at all with running shoes for the last couple of years, 3-4 years, it's a legendary midsole. It's heralded as one of the best ever made. I personally consider it one of the best ever made after today's run. I continue to consider it one of the best ever made, if not the best. I love the way that Light Strike Pro with the energy rods, the OG version, this version, feels underfoot. It's amazing. And the energy rods, there's something about them that provides a directional stability that you do get with a carbon fiber plate, but somehow it just doesn't feel as plated. I really don't know how to explain it. It's like all of the rigidity from a plate without the shattering feeling that you get from a plate. So absolutely love the midsole. It's not different from my memory to the midsole in the Adios Pro 3. So we're going to move on to a little bit of head-to-head. I normally would do a comparison to these shoes, but I can't really run in these anymore for like several reasons, most of which the grip is just completely shredded. I also removed the laces from them and they're gone. I do have other laces that I could put in these, but it's just not worth it because these are dead shoe. So upper, we're going to go through this sort of similarly. You could even see how different the uppers are between these two, where this is pretty translucent. You could see through it. This is completely obscured. You cannot see through it. Before I forget to mention, after the run in the equipment, it's a silly name, the equipment variation of the Adios Pro 3, my shoes or my feet were soaked. It was very warm in those shoes. It didn't bother me out on the run because it's fall. It's like 50 something degrees. But this is going to be a winter shoe. There's no chance that this is going to be usable anytime other than during the winter. That's the caveat to these that is maybe a bigger deal for some people. Like if you're in the South, yeah, this is not going to be your favorite shoe. I'm sorry. It's just going to be so warm for you. But I don't even really mind being that warm inside of a shoe, even if it is summer and that warm. So maybe some people are like me, where it doesn't actually bug me that much if a shoe is warm on foot. But if it does bug you, it's going to be a warm guy for sure. But back to the comparison. The upper on this, yeah, it was very plasticky. Some people said they got like a pain right on the big toe knuckle, right around where these like lace loops are sewn in. And people had to even literally like surgically remove the stitching on the lace loop. Lacing this shoe was such a pain. It was so miserable to get a good fit on this, because if you did get a good fit, the laces dug right into your tendons. Sometimes like I tried multiple different strategies for this. Like I didn't lace the topmost, or I guess you would call this the bottommost eyelet in the chain, and that did tend to help. Eventually, I was using the laces from the Streakfly OG, which are nice serrated laces and they lay flat. And for whatever reason, they worked a lot better than the stock laces at not giving me lace bite in these. But I also even tried Caterpie, the like bubbly laces that get stuck in each eyelet. I tried everything to make this shoe fit correctly, and more or less it did fit correctly. And this was my very first marathon shoe, and I love this shoe. Really a phenomenal first foray into the running shoe space for me. Other differences, similarities. This has a split padding on the heel collar, like by the Achilles. This also kind of does, but it's padded in between where the split padding is. So it's like 2 layers of padding, where this is just fabric, and then there's the split bumper pads on either side. The heel collar here is just a flop. It's a total flopper. This is, like I said, very rigid. And then the midsole. I mean, you could even see exact same midsole patterning. You got the energy rods in there. It is the same midsole. It's cool feeling these now. This obviously is a lot firmer. This is much more broken in foam, and it's probably even, I got it, more noticeable up in the forefoot. Yeah, for sure. Like the forefoot of the Pro 3 is more squishy. It breaks in over time. That's how these things work. So those are the operative differences between the two. And weight, I can't remember. This was 216, and this was actually 291. I made a mistake earlier saying it was 295. This is 291. That's the weight of this shoe, the heavier one. But yeah, this much lighter, obviously. You could feel it in hand. And this is minus the laces. But I love this shoe, and I haven't run in it since last winter. That was when I retired it officially, and there's nothing left to give. The foam is kind of dead. This has probably 500 to 600 miles, 4 to 5 to 6. I didn't track my shoes at the time, so I can't say. But after 9 miles in this, it was joyous to experience Light Strike Pro underfoot yet again, the original version with the energy rods. I can't believe it. I can't believe that this was a thing that was made. Some people on Reddit were saying maybe they just needed to get rid of all of this foam compound, and they had extra midsoles laying around, and they're like, what do we do with all these midsoles now that the Pro 3 is retired? I don't know if that's true. I don't know how it works internally at Adidas or any shoe company like this, but I'm glad they made it. I think that, I really hope this doesn't fly under the radar, especially with winter coming up, because the grip in this is a very good version of Continental rubber, and it had phenomenal grip back then, and today I can't report any differently. It wasn't wet out, but it felt plenty grippy on the dry. And I think that coming into winter, a very grippy, warm shoe is going to do people in my region, in the New England, Midwestern lands, the land of the cold in the United States, at least. You're going to love this for winter. It's that good. I'm blown away. I don't have much else to say about it. I think that I'm going to be using this for long runs for sure for quite some time to come. I was even thinking about tomorrow for Run Club, popping out in this. That's how immediately I have taken to this shoe. And it's because when you revisit your old favorites, like, one of two things could happen. It's like meeting your heroes, right? Could either be not as good as you remember it, which is fortunately not the case in this situation, or it could be as good as you remember it. And that's awesome when that happens. And that's kind of exactly what happened. I do think there's like some things that I would change about it. Like I would love it to be a bit more breathable so I could use this when it's not cold outside. Because even with my relative indifference to an overheating foot, I don't want to wear this if my feet are overheating. Oh, and I had a thought about this when I was ordering this shoe, and this was like a thing that I was slightly worried about or thinking could be a drawback of this shoe. Yeah, I wear primarily toe socks, and the toes being separated creates like the inability to get a blister in between your toes. And it also does a second thing. When you are wearing, because I do sometimes wear regular normal people socks, like socks, and in those, I feel like my toes touching each other and having a gap of air in between them creates like a humidity inside the sock, where the sock isn't as breathable, right? And I don't think that the toe socks that I'm wearing are any more or less breathable than other socks. I think they're just more form-fitting to my skin so that these pockets of warm air don't form. And I'm much less likely to get blisters in general because I'm wearing like a form-fitting sock, but also my foot is staying cooler on average than like if I were to wear other socks. Because anytime I do wear the other socks, my feet get warmer quicker. Right. All of that's pretty unimportant to this shoe, but in general, if you never hear me talking about my feet overheating in shoes, it's probably because I have unknowingly adopted a strategy that optimizes for not overheating in shoes. Or I also wear a lot of lightweight shoes, so that's probably a contributing factor. But yeah, this is still a big chongus. It's heavy, 291 grams. It's heavy. It is not very breathable. It's not going to be for every use case, but if you know the Adios Pro 3, everything that you could use that for, you could probably use this for. It didn't even feel particularly heavy on foot. One of the things that I mentioned out on the run was that the bulkiness of this upper actually lended a little bit of context to the rest of the shoe and made it more holistically balanced. So in the Pro 3, the upper was so much lighter than the midsole because this is such a dense foam that it felt almost decoupled, like not decoupled as in here, how this is decoupled, but the fabric was so much lighter that it felt like the thing that was holding you to the platform was not substantial enough to hold you to that much more substantial platform. So you had this, it's like if you tied a wet brick to your foot with string, like yarn from a craft store, right? That's a wildly exaggerated version of what the Adios Pro 3 was. But if using the same metaphor, this is like you tied a medium-sized stick to your foot with duct tape, right? So you're using a much more substantial material to wrap a slightly less substantial feeling lower component, like midsole. So I guess I hope that makes sense. Though what I'm trying to say here is that the bulk of this upper modulated the heavy bottom feel of the Lightstrike Pro, right? So this felt like more of a unified and well-aligned and balanced shoe than the Pro 3 did. But overall, I mean, that contributes. It's a heavier shoe as a result of that strategy. And we got to keep in mind, this is not really made for runners. This was never really intended, I don't think, by Adidas to be like one of their marketed running shoes. I don't even know how long this has been on the market. The price, that's a good talking point here. The retail price is $180. There's a coupon, which is just deal in all caps, to Adidas's website, which I will post in the description. I'll paste the link in the description. That brought it down to, after tax, so I'm paying American taxes of 8%, the price was $145 or something dollars out the door, completely all in. I think that the deal discount brought the 180 down to like 130 retail, something. don't quote me on that. But yeah, but the full price was 145. So if you're taking, I don't even know how to explain that price in context of the rest of the market. Like, I guess you could see this as a super trainer or like something like the Mach X3, the Mach X3 by Hoka, where it's a tall stack. I mean, that's an overstacked shoe, and it's also a plastic plate, but it has a training upper, like a big, more bulky upper versus a racing upper, and can do a lot of the same things as this. Maybe you could treat this as a Mega Blast competitor with rods, of course, but the Mega Blast is such a stiff shoe that it doesn't need any like plate or stiffening agent in there. But yeah, if you're taking that, even if you call it the 180, the 180 is cheaper than the Hoka Mach X3. The 180 is cheaper than the Mega Blast. The 180 is anything the Hyperion, whatever the Brooks Super Trainer is that just came out. I'm forgetting the name of it. Is it just the Hyperion Max 3? I think that's what it is. I haven't run in it, so I don't know. I don't know that, but based on media, right, it's a plated, highly stacked super foam super trainer situation. This competes against all of those. Yeah, as long as you are taking it in the context of it is a winter first shoe, that it's going to be pretty hot to run in any other time of the year. Okay, I've yapped for long enough. I appreciate all of your attention. This is really darn good, and stay in motion.